Hey, welcome back to another video, folks. We're on the Sport Crag version of Sling Mountain today, as you can see. I thought I'd do this video. It's just sort of following on from government guidance and BMC guidance that perhaps it's okay to go climbing now in England, not in Wales where I am, or Scotland. And I kind of thought that people might be going sport climbing because maybe it's a slightly safer thing to do than trad. Perhaps you could argue that either way. And you perhaps might be going with people who are relatively inexperienced if you're trying to keep, the climbing within the household or within that small social bubble, whatever. And I'm in no way here to pass any judgment on government rulings or anything, so that's not for me to say at all. If you haven't read the BMC guidance, it's worth a read. Maybe I'll put a link in the description below if I remember, but you can do a Google search. They tell you a few considerations that might be worth thinking about. It's entirely up to you though, isn't it, right? All I'm going to do is show us a nice way of making your second's life a bit easier for cleaning the top of a sport route, okay? Now I thought that because you might be going out with relatively inexperienced people, you might end up doing one of two things when sport climbing and stripping. Either you're going to climb the route once and lead it, set it up, and then your second will climb up it, lower down, and then you'll have to re-climb it to strip out the gear to clean the sport route. Or you've got to teach them how to do it, and that's fine, right? Some people have to learn how to do it at some point to become an independent climber. Of course they do. There's a time and a place for it. If I'm teaching it, try and do it in a really progressive manner. I go to a venue I know where there's like bolts at ground level where you can practice, or I can set something up with this because I take this with me when I'm teaching sport stuff. And then a progression might be to pick a route where I know I can be out of the system, two people climbing, and I can look at the bolts from literally a metre or two away, so I can watch people doing it to give them the reassurance and check that all is good. And that might not be possible now with it sort of being in an instructing sense one-to-one, or a climbing sense maybe you are just in a pair, so that might not be a possibility at the moment. So I thought it's worth looking at. Firstly though, I'm not going to show us all the how to clean a route and stuff. I'll put a link up there to a video I've done before on how to do all that, so have a look at that if you're unclear of that. So I haven't got my harness on, I'm not going to be clipping in and everything, just want to show us the sort of the new principle, if you like. Firstly though, it is worth saying this. I could thread that ring and we could top rope through that, couldn't we? Is that safe? Yeah, it's absolutely safe. Is it acceptable? No, please don't do it. It's just so antisocial, right? It trashes the kit really quickly. These chain sets cost around about £25, something like that. Plus it's the time to change them. I've done some bolting myself, not a lot by any stretch. And it's just really time consuming. So it's kind of a big no-no in sport climbing to top rope through the rings or any kit that's there in situ. Always do your own thing, put your own clips in and stuff like that. So it would be pretty normal if I was setting this up for someone to use my quick draws, Petzl Spirits, these are super nice, these quick draws. Clip that into one side, clip that into the other, and I've opposed them, and I quite like that. Just it feels like it's an extra little level of security by having them opposed. And there we go, that's like a classic setup there. Ropes running through that, that's as good as a screw gate. You'd do something very similar if it was offset like this, jobs are good. But it does mean that the second person, or the final person climbing, if there's more than two of you, has to clip in and do the re-threading, or they lower down and you re-climb it for the second time. That would be a really normal thing to do, and you'll have to do that sometimes because this little hack that I'll show you now won't work in every situation. So let's ditch the quick draws for a moment, put them over there out of the way. If you are looking for like the best quick draws for sport, Petzl Spirits are really hard to beat, I think. So our other option is, back to the beginning, I'm leading up the route for the first time, get to the top, do all my quick draws. When I get to the top, I clip myself in, stay safe, do the threading, all that kind of thing, which as I said is in that link that I put up before, and I thread that ring, okay? You might be thinking, I've just told you not to top rope through rings. Yes, I have told you not to do that, but we're going to get a screw gate this time. We're going to put that into the bolt, and then we're going to put our rope into that, do him up of course, and then I'm going to lower off. And now when my second climbs it, look where the weight is going. It's all going onto that carabiner. So yes, it's touching this, but there's no weight on it. So you could argue there's going to be a minute amount of wear on that ring. You're probably right. But is it going to be much? No, because it's that carabiner taking the weight. And this is great. So when the last person climbs up, who doesn't know how to do all the stripping and that, I'm pretty sure they can work out with some instruction what they need to do up here, because all they need to do is take that carabiner out. Ace. So they get up, spinning open, take that rope out, bring that carabiner with them, don't leave that behind, do they? And there you go. They haven't had to do any untying, retying, clipping in or anything. They might have to clip in if it's really hard to hold on, but probably they can just hold on and not even have to clip in the slightest and unclip that one and go. So it's pretty foolproof, isn't it? It's going to save you time because you haven't got to lead up, you haven't got to teach them how to rethread and everything. So potentially it's a really good little hack, isn't it? It's great for personal climbing. Like I say, if you are with a relatively inexperienced person, make sure they can belay you and everything properly, please. Yeah, scary otherwise. But it does save you time. It does save you some grey hairs as well of watching people out of sight doing their first rethreading and everything. From an instructing point of view, it's great to do that sometimes. The aim of most of my courses is to teach that kind of thing, but it's not always appropriate. So it just saves time. It means we can get more climbing done, doesn't it? So there you go, there's a little setup. Have a little think to yourself, right, about whether it will work in every situation, every set of bolts that you come to. The principle has to be that that screw gate is above that ring, otherwise it doesn't take the weight off that ring, does it? So you can probably guess that it's not going to work in every situation. Have a look at that setup. Would it work in this setup? Let me know in the comments below, that'll be good. There's some little bits of thought for you. And I do these things on purpose. I could show you every iteration of bolt setup, or virtually anyway, and do this. But I think it's really important that in climbing we think for ourselves and we have to work things out. So you learn some basic principles and then you go and apply them in all these different situations, and random practice is a key principle for that, and that really makes you learn stuff. So have a think about whether you could get it to work on this setup here. That'd be ace. Please do fire away any questions. You know I'm happy to answer those as best I can. And you know, fire away if you've got any suggestions for other videos you'd like to see, all that kind of thing. But if you are getting out climbing, enjoy yourselves, take it steady, and have a nice time, and think of me on Sling Mountain. I hope you enjoyed this video. More videos coming up very soon.